Strange, a Twin Peaks rewatch podcast. I'm Nick.
And I'm Kim.
And no news I can think of. I suppose then we should get to the aftermath of The Horse.
Yes.
So we are talking about Drive with a Dead Girl. Written by Scott Frost, directed by Caleb Deschanel, and first broadcast on the 17th of November 1990. Try to tell us what Margaret thinks and also what happens in this episode.
Yeah, sure. So, as always, do you want me to start with the Log Lady?
Yep.
Okay, this is the Log Lady's introduction for this episode. Food is interesting. For instance, why do we need to eat? Why are we never satisfied with just the right amount of food to maintain good health and proper energy? We always seem to want more and more. When eating too much, the proper balance is disturbed and ill health follows. Of course, eating too little food throws the balance off in the opposite direction, and there is the ill health coming at us again. Balance is the key. Balance is the key to many things. Do we understand balance? The word balance has 7 letters. 7 is difficult to balance, but not impossible. We are able to divide. There are, of course, the pros and cons of division.
Thank you, Margaret.
But even by her standards, that one's a bit...
Yeah, also, I feel that we can answer the question of why do we need to eat. I think I've unfortunate biology, Margaret.
Okay, so following on from the shocking finale of the previous episode, we see Leyland in a very different frame of mind, playing golf from a portable putting green in the middle of his living room, as Donna and James come to say goodbye to Maddie. Leyland tells them that they just missed her, and also indicates that she was disappointed because she thought they were going to turn up the previous night. As James and Donna leave, we see Leyland adjusting his tie in the mirror, and Bob, as always, staring back at him, before he packs up his golf club into his golf bag, which also contains Maddie's corpse. He places this entire bag in the boot of his car, and then drives away. As Ben wakes up, looking horribly unrested after his night in the lockup, Jerry arrives, saying that because Leyland is under suspicion of murder, Jerry will be handling the case as his attorney. Ben claims that he was not responsible for Laura's death as he was with Catherine the night of the murder. The brothers then reminisce about a childhood experience with someone called Louise Dombrowski, who danced for them in their room when they were kids. Cooper and Truman visit the Great Northern and meet Leyland, who is dancing around the lobby with his golf club. Harry breaks the news that they have arrested Ben in connection with Laura's murder, and Leyland leaves apparently to cry, though we see as soon as he turns his back on them, he starts laughing in the hallway. Cooper approaches and asks him to let them know if he remembers anything unusual about Ben's behaviour on the night of Laura's death. As soon as Cooper and Harry leave, Leyland resumes dancing gleefully again. Bobby finally listens to the tape that they found in Leo's boot and finds evidence of Ben's deal with Leo to set fire to the mill. He makes a copy of the tape to take to Ben and tells Shelley that he has business ambitions now. Meanwhile, at the Double R diner, Norma's mother, Vivian, visits her, and is quite rude, even taking a bite of the potatoes on Toad's plate. She's there to introduce Norma to her new husband, Ernie Niles, who is supposedly some kind of businessman, but Norma quickly realises that when he's supposedly on the phone talking about business deals, he's actually placing a bet. Locked up in the Great Northern, Gerard asks his nurse for a glass of water. This is all a ruse to enable him to knock out the officer guarding his room and escape out the window. Back at the Double R diner, Hank arrives home 48 hours later than expected to a very angry Norma. As Hank tries to explain what he's been doing and Norma slowly softens, Norma's mother appears from the back, greets Hank and invites them all to have dinner at the Great Northern that night. Pete arrives at the police station and speaks with Harry. They talk about the fact that Josie is gone and realise a small discrepancy in her story. The fact that she told Harry that the man that was with her was her assistant, Mr. Lee, whereas she told Pete that it was her cousin Jonathan. As Cooper arrives to report that Gerard is missing, And Andy arrives to see Lucy carrying her sister's baby, causing him to faint when he mistakes it for her own. Pete heads to the cells to visit Ben, playing a tape of Catherine's voice. She assures him that she will testify on his behalf in exchange for his signing over of the Ghostwood estates. Ben, in a rage, throws around the furniture in his cell. Leyland is pulled over by Cooper and Harry after driving his convertible erratically while singing show tunes. He claims that he has remembered something about the night that Laura Palmer died, and that was that he and Ben were working together late that night when Ben stepped out the room to have an angry phone call that was either about a dairy or a diary. Leyland offers to show Cooper his new clubs, and we see him retrieving one of these clubs from the boot of his car where Maddie's corpse still is. However, Harry answers a police radio call from Lucy that says that Gerard has been found, so Cooper leaves a split second before potentially seeing the vital evidence. Leyland watches them go in his rearview mirror, where Bob is smiling back at him. Andy recovers from his fainting spell and manages to tell Lucy about the results of the new sperm test. He assumes that this means he must be the father, but Lucy does not confirm this. Cooper and Truman introduce Gerard to Ben, who says unequivocally that Ben is not Bob. Jerry insists that they need to either charge Ben or let him go, so Truman charges him with the murder. Cooper pulls Harry aside to say that he does not actually think Ben did kill Laura, but Truman overrules him, and Cooper goes with this because Truman's the boss. At the Great Northern, Norma, Hank, Vivian and Ernie finish dinner. While Norma and Vivian leave for the restaurant, Hank and Ernie catch up, having previously met in prison. Vivian is completely unaware to the fact that Ernie was in prison, and he begs Hank not to say anything because she will leave him if she knows. Ernie claims to be clean now and says that Vivian knows nothing about his history. Hank asks to meet back with Ernie later. As the women come back to the table, Hank toasts the success of the newlyweds. While Cooper is in his room making voice notes, Audrey arrives at the door. She asks if Ben did it, saying that her father is ashamed of her. Cooper stops her from saying something about One-Eyed Jacks as he answers the phone. He then leaves and tells Audrey she needs to go to her room and lock the door. Cooper races to an active crime scene near the waterfall, where a forensic team pulls Maddie's body in a plastic bag out of the river.
Thank you. I understand Reddit doesn't like this one.
No, apparently this is quite a polarising episode, and I can totally see why. One Reddit user, when I was reading back over some old posts about this episode, referred to it as having tonal schizophrenia. I think it's the fact that you had, as we talked about in details, that 4-minute horrendous scene at the end of the last episode, and this episode is surprisingly upbeat after that.
It's true. I mean, I always saw this as part and parcel of Twin Peaks, which I know apparently is a deal breaker.
I don't think they've entirely done Maddie a disservice either. It's not like we've ignored what happened to Maddie, because there are a lot of shots of her body within the episode and things like that.
Yeah, she's not been dispensed with. It's very much a ticking clock till the discovery of her. I mean, I do wonder what Bob/Leland is thinking, because it's none of this is going to stand up very long when people start asking questions.
No.
It's like, especially when him sort of saying to Donna and James, "Oh yeah, you just missed her. I took her to the bus station 20 minutes ago." His time of death is going to start causing problems with that story almost immediately.
We did have a talk in a previous episode, though, about what forensic pathology was like in the early 90s. So you are bearing in mind it wasn't as sophisticated as it is today.
True.
You wouldn't have, like, reliable CCTV, particularly in a remote area like that, for example.
No. But I mean, you could get the discrepancy, though, of how long she's seemingly been in the water versus Leyland's last known sighting of her. I was thinking as well, though, it's not clear, it's increasingly unclear where the dividing line between Bob and Leland actually falls, I think, in this episode.
You don't get the impression that Leyland is in the driver's seat at all in this episode, I don't think. I think it's Bob all the way.
Well, that's what I was curious about, because it's also, didn't know if Bob was actually capable of that kind of fine control over Leyland, as it were, as if he can actually sort of puppeteer him or sort of like behave like Leyland, because I think every appearance of Bob prior to this, he's basically a snarling monster.
animalistic.
And in this one, he's flipping between personas, but he's doing exactly what he needs to be to seem to be normal as possible in the scenes when he has to be. He's teetering on the edge a bit.
I thought it was kind of interesting in this episode, the fact that this is the first time we're viewing Leyland through the lens of knowing he's the killer.
Yes.
But at the same time, I'm not sure if it's us reading that or it's the fact the actor knows he's the killer at this point, because Leyland's performance doesn't seem as nuanced as it used to be.
Yeah, and that could very well be a factor, because I think we talked about this a lot before, of nothing about how Leyland was presented was ever meant to clue you into how he was doing, because Ray Wise didn't know.
It's hard to say, though, whether or not he's just being scripted differently.
Yeah.
Or it's the fact that we're watching it knowing that we're seeing his performance in a different light, or he is playing Leyland differently now. But it just doesn't seem as subtle. You can see that it's starting to crack.
Well, I think it's like when Coop and Truman pull him over and he just sort of mutters "uh-oh" to himself. That's the kind of thing I don't think you'd have got from him before.
No.
But then again, how he actually acts when he's pulled over by them is very in keeping with how Leyland would behave, I think.
That was actually a scene that was brushed up on Reddit as something people didn't like, is the way Cooper brushed off Leyland's dangerous driving. Because essentially, he basically swerves them off the road.
He does.
And could have caused serious injury to someone, but Truman, the chief of police, then just kind of laughs at him and says, "Oh, yeah, just be careful next time." And you think there would be, a ticket or something like that.
You would. I suspect the thought process there was meant to be, it's like, this is actually one of the least weird things that Leyland's done. Probably one of the most dangerous ones, but it's not out of line with how he's been behaving.
Can you imagine the scandal, though, if they let him keep going and then he ran over a child or something like that?
Oh, absolutely. Not that I think children exist in Twin Peaks.
No, that's right. Only teenagers exist in Twin Peaks, so we're probably fine.
Well, no, you've got babies, because Lucy's sister...
yeah, babies and then teenagers.
Yeah, there's nothing in between. It's a very, very weird town. But no, I don't know if it's Bob in the driver's seat or it's like a commingling, because it's just that shot of Leyland looking in the mirror. Because it's Leyland looks back first, and it shifts to Bob, and then he kind of twitches as it flicks back to Leyland again. So I think it's not really clear, and also I think it's not actually clear if Leyland understands what's in the golf bag, or if he does understand what's in the golf bag.
If Leyland can actually see it's there.
Yeah, I think there's a lot of ambiguity about how the Leyland and Bob situation actually works still.
It's particularly that scene where he invites Cooper to look at the golf clubs.
Yeah.
Is you either can read it as Leyland is unaware and can't see that Maddie is dead in his boot, or it's Bob just playing with fire.
Yeah. Or he's just playing the part down to the bitter end and just hoping they're not going to quite call his bluff on it.
I do kind of like the way he looks in that scene as well, because as he's getting the golf club out of the boot, Truman calls to Cooper and Cooper turns away, and you just see him holding the club vertically behind Cooper, like he's about to strike him.
Yeah.
It's just this really, really just malicious single shot of him.
Then again, that doesn't feel right for how Bob works, because Bob seems to be like Pennywise, to point to the other malevolent psychic force in horror. Because there's the well-known thing in real life is you don't want cattle to be scared before you slaughter them because it damages the meat.
But for Pennywise, it's the opposite, because the line is something like "fear salts the meat" or something like that, isn't it?
He's explicitly working against how this works in real livestock.
Yeah.
And I do wonder if Bob... We've only have two instances. I mean, we know Teresa Banks exists as a third, but we only have Laura and Maddie as kind of examples we've seen. But it's like that neither of them seem to be quick processes. That was very long and protracted.
I think even Mike says it at one point, that Bob feeds on their fear or something like that. So
while it looks kind of like Leyland might be about to club Cooper over the head, I think it's the whole that's not really how he works.
Mm.
I think from the audience you are meant to sort of be worried briefly.
Yeah.
That Leyland's really going to snap out of it and start just clubbing members of the cast down.
Mm.
But yeah, I don't think it doesn't fit with how Bob seems to work. I wonder what Leyland's slip-up, or Leyland and Bob's slip-up is, where Cooper actually does sort of pay more attention to him. What exactly happened in that conversation which Cooper thought was the off note?
I think there was some dissonance. I don't like that sequence. I don't think Leyland's performance feels quite right in it, personally. because we've seen how hysterical Leyland gets. And of course, last time they insinuated a killer, Leyland took the law into his own hands, and he's admitted to doing that, so they're aware. But this time, they kind of say, we've arrested Ben Horn in connection with the killing. He just says something like, oh, so it wasn't Jocks, and they say, no, it was Ben. But that's his only reaction to that, and I think that would clue in as suspicious. There's no regret for, oh god, I killed the wrong man.
True. I think it's on record exactly what Jacques was doing, and it's one of those paternal things where he probably is going to be very protective of his daughter in that kind of context. What happened with Jacques before everything.
I don't want to say if you were in this position, though, because obviously you're not a serial killer possessed by a malevolent psychic force.
As far as
I know, yes. But it just feels wrong. Even if you were the killer masquerading, you think, oh god, what have I done? It might be in that Lexus. I think in Cooper's position, I'd be thinking, wait, hang on.
That's fair.
Especially when you've seen how passionate Leyland normally is, and he really is not in this scene.
Yeah. And again, it's a troublesome thing now of, since we don't know the timeline of when Ray Wise found this out, of, is this just his direction on set's different? Is his performance different? Is it actually scripted to be that big of a clue?
I did learn something interesting, and again, my source for this is the old Reddit watch threads.
Yeah.
So take that with a grain of salt, maybe. But it was things that are noted in the shooting script that we do not see.
Okay.
It's much like we talked last time about how they shot Maddie's death scene with Ben Horn in the same way as well. There were things put in the shooting script, so people reading it might not cotton on the fact that Leyland is the killer.
Okay.
So my favourite one...
oh no.
...says, Cooper and Truman get in the Bronco and drive off. Ed watches them and begins to laugh wickedly as he walks back. So, little snippets in that, so if someone gets the shooting script, they think, oh god, it's not him, it's actually Big Ed. And stuff like that.
Fair enough. Big Ed never a contender on anyone's list of the killer.
But I think it's a clever way of doing it, is no one can be sure reading it, therefore, if it really is Leyland or there is going to be another twist.
That's true. Well, again, we did talk briefly of, we've no idea if it's possible in the context of fiction of, if body hopping is possible for Bob, or he is tied to Leyland more explicitly than he might want to be.
I suppose it's even when you get the scene with Mike being introduced to Ben, he doesn't say that Bob has never possessed Ben, he just says Bob is not here.
No, he's been close, but he's not here.
Yeah.
I mean, okay, so as much as Reddit might not like it, I do really enjoy every scene with Jerry and Ben in this episode.
I really like Jerry.
They play off each other really well.
I think Jerry is a tremendously fun character.
Well, especially with this also as your brother, as your friend, and as your attorney, you need someone else.
Yeah.
I'm not good enough to do this for you.
I quite like where he tries to do the attorney bit and Cooper points out the fact that he only just scraped the bar exam on the third try or something
and
like that.
also been debarred in a number of states.
Yeah.
It's like, you are really not a good choice for this.
But on a short notice, he's all Ben's got.
Yes, well, especially it's like, your regular counsel is also wanted for murder, so really not going to get anywhere with this. But
I did, the only bit of their bit is the Louise Dombrowski dance.
Oh god, yeah.
Just felt like we were padding time, because it can only be a minute or two, but it just feels like it goes on forever.
Yeah, I'm not sure, other than the boys have always had some kind of pervy kind of attitude to them. I don't know.
Yeah.
I do think, though, that the idea between Ben and Jerry in this one is that the audience knows full well this man has done many bad things, but he hasn't done the bad thing. So we can play all of these scenes for comedy.
Yeah.
Like, there's no hint of seriousness, even though he's been charged with really bad crimes. You, as an audience member, know full well he's not done it. And that the death of Maddie will shortly be an exonerating factor for him.
Yeah.
Do like Pete ducking into the police station with a tape recorder from Catherine.
I'm of two minds about that scene, because I think it's massively out of character for Pete.
Yes, I mean, I get enjoyment out of it, but he doesn't seem the right messenger for this.
Pete's not malicious.
No.
But it is a fun scene, and I do like the fact that, as we saw with him falling for Mr. Tojimura previously, that Ben's house of cards is falling.
Yes. I did think it was also very weird to sort of see the opening credits have been amended so that Piper Laurie is now credited as Tojimura and Catherine Martell.
Even though Tojimura's not even in this episode.
Yeah, and Tojimura doesn't really exist as a character anymore because we know who he is.
Yeah.
Very strange. Yeah, I will admit that Peter's out of character, but it's a fun scene all the same.
Yeah. It's gleeful little chuckle when he plays the recording.
Yeah. And
It is fun.
Ben's horror. And I really do enjoy the moment when Mike is brought to Ben Horn, and it's Jerry being the straight man saying, "What is this about? Why are we doing this? What procedure is this?"
This is normal, Jerry. Normal for police.
Very normal. But then also the fact that he shoots the whole thing in the foot by getting Ben charged with the murder.
Oh, I did like that for the snapback when he says, "You either have to charge my brother or let him go. I'm charging him for murder." It's, oh, hell.
Ben, the lawyer, might have been able to handle that and probably said, the whole thing with Mike is enough to get this thing thrown out.
I do think the way that Truman and Cooper kind of face off after that feels wrong based on something we saw in a much earlier episode, though.
Truman's absolutely in the right, but that's not how he's been behaving up to this point.
It's more when Cooper first arrives in Twin Peaks, he says something to Truman like the effect of, when the FBI arrive, we take over the show and we don't have to be friends with the police force, that sort of thing.
Yeah, but we'll try and keep you in
the
the loop.
Here, Truman's pulled rank and Cooper just says, "All right, you're the boss."
Yeah. We know at the time it's like it's the stark contrast to the X-Files where the local police will run rings around Mulder every time if they can.
I know Cooper likes him, but at the end of the day, Cooper is very professional as well.
Yeah.
And I feel a bit like if Cooper has any doubts, he would be able to pull rank here.
But yes, I would say that is an odd thing. I think it's... I know you had that note where basically Twin Peaks was written in sequence, basically.
Mm.
And I think this is very much... They've painted themselves into a bit of a corner and they need to stall for time. Because they need... For whatever reason, they need to drag things out a bit longer. And yeah, given that Cooper has already started to realise that Ben Horn doesn't make as much sense as he once did, we can't let that fall apart just yet.
Mm. I think it's got to be within the next couple of episodes. They can't string it out much longer.
Well, yeah, we've just got to get all the... we've got most of the pieces into place. I think Cooper just needs to have a revelation.
It is kind of interesting for a flip around this episode, I guess, still talking about the murder, in the fact that I think this is... Yeah, it must be, because up until this point, we had no idea who the killer was. We may have suspected. So this is the first time we are actually ahead of the investigation.
Yes.
Rather than being kind of level with.
Yeah, and we will be for a little while until everything's all blows over.
So we're seeing it from a different side, because now we've got that God perspective where we know who the killer is, but Truman and Cooper do not. Yes.
It's a maddening thing where in some fiction, at least to me, I find you can do this thing really wrong. So if you know more than the characters at certain points, things can be excruciating to watch as you watch them run around and get things wrong. Twin Peaks, I think, actually handles it pretty well. And I think it's because it's the kooky soap opera, other stuff going on at the same time, means that you can get it. And I think also you can understand their misunderstanding more. The reason why they've latched onto Ben makes more sense than some other people.
Yeah. Oh, I think, as Truman says, we have overwhelming evidence. You do.
Yeah.
Ben is obviously, at this point, the only person who could have done it. Because, of course, you would never jump to the conclusion, although you should, because it's usually the case, that a father would kill his daughter.
Yeah. Well, again, I think when you alluded to the whole difference in forensic procedurals and everything, it's like that perception was not big in the 90s, because the 90s was very stranger danger territory.
Yeah. You always had, well, and you still do, the idea of telling your children not to go with strangers, don't take candy from strangers, don't get into strangers' cars, that sort of thing. But the actual perception, if you actually watch or listen to any true crime, is usually if someone is killed or assaulted or anything, their immediate family, their partner, their husband, their father, mother, they are the first suspects, because like in 75% of cases, it's someone they knew well.
Yeah. It's even like serial killers, because like Zodiac has a great big thing of the likelihood of the Zodiac knowing his first victim, or the first victim they're aware of, and how she lived basically next door to him.
If you take the Arthur Lee Allen
theory. If you take the Arthur Lee Allen, yeah. I mean, we're not going to realisticate the Zodiac, but given the ground is so... Like Jack the Ripper, the ground is so muddy at this point.
It's one of those ones where you will never get a definitive answer.
Not anymore. Maybe one day, once you would have, but not now. It's too confused.
You need a time machine and to be sat on that grassy verge in Vallejo to actually figure it out.
And I suspect that it's like the Jack the Ripper one, but if you did that, you say, who the hell is that? I've never seen the series, but it's my favourite Tumblr meme that comes down every now and again, which is Lex Luthor has changed places with the Flash. It says, okay, bad day, at least you can find out who the Flash is. I have no idea who this man is. I'd almost forgotten that Hank existed in this episode. It's kind of odd we've got the whole, he's been gone 48 hours after being beaten up by Lee or Jonathan or whatever, Josie's companion?
Cousin assistant
enforcer for the mob boss is. I'm still curious as to that if that check's going to bounce, the one that Tojimura gave Ben. And that
it's got to, really.
It has.
Though Jerry claims
the bank is legit, yeah.
Yeah, it's all legit.
But there's no way that the people who are helping Casanova are going to let them transfer that money into Ben's name. So
no.
What's happening there, I don't know. But other than being there when Ben got arrested, I don't think Hank's done anything for a bit.
No, and he was one of the ones that people who were dissatisfied with the episode cited, in that when you've got this murder plot now where we know who the killer is and we know he's got a body in his trunk, who really cares that Norma's mom has come to visit, was how I saw it banded around.
I think that's forgetting that this is a soap opera. It's designed as a soap opera. You've got to have the concurrent threads.
Ditto the subplot with Lucy and her sister, I'd say.
Yeah. It's also, I think it's meant to be, I don't know if it's the intent, but it also strikes me as it's the real life argument coming in. Because For Windows and Funeral has the infamous eulogy with the Stop All the Clocks, the poem.
At the funeral.
The point was, though, that I seem to remember I did in English or something, but it's also the how grief feels to the person versus everyone else. It's like you want everything shut down. For the rest of the world, who doesn't know this person, things will keep moving.
Mm.
So, as in Twin Peaks is, yes, it's very sad that Maddie has died, but crucially, no one except Layla knows that's happened.
Yeah.
And the rest of the plot threads can't just stop.
I think I couldn't imagine Twin Peaks, from the way it's structured, as you said, doing this any other way.
No.
Because at its heart, it's a soap opera and it has the multiple convergent threads of plots that may or may not cross.
Yeah.
But at the same time, I can kind of see the other side of the argument too, in the fact that a girl has just been assaulted and murdered brutally.
Oh, yeah.
And then we've got happy fun times with Andy fainting because he thinks that Lucy has somehow generated a 6-month-old child.
Yeah.
Yes. And, in the minds of some people, it would be not showing true respect to the dead.
True. I will first point out the one of the possible causes of this is that last episode was directed by David Lynch, and this one ain't.
I believe this guy, when I tried to look him up earlier, is the guy who did those lost tapes you mentioned, the Cooper's tapes.
Oh, okay.
He's the writer of those.
Ah. Oh, Dale Cooper's Secret Diary.
It's the lost tapes of Dale Cooper or something like that.
I think I know what I mean, yeah.
Yeah.
Okay. Either way, though, I do wonder how much is... Because I don't know if you can pin it on anyone in particular, because it's like there's the whole writing staff and the whole production crew, and everyone apparently said, yeah, this is what we're going to do now.
But anyway, we were talking about Norma and her mum, Vivian.
Well, we actually even got to the mother, yes. Yeah, we've got more soap opera parenting and... I don't know.
I love her mum's introduction where she introduces herself by asking if the potatoes are real and then just takes a forkful off Toad's plate to test them. It's like, hi, strange lady.
I will appreciate that you can read basically everything you need to know about Norma and her mother's relationship into that one brief scene. And it's like, oh, well, this is going to be fun, isn't it? I don't know we need to have that he's an old friend of Hank's, because that actually kind of feels like a coincidence too far, all things considered.
Yeah. Especially, what are the odds that he would get out of prison, then meet the mother of Hank's wife at a Republican rally?
But then I'd never at any point realise, because I refuse to believe Hank has not talked about Norma to his friend in prison. That it never worked out that these people are related to each other.
Yeah.
But then also the fact he said he's going straight, but we also know that's a lie because he's also gambling, and his financial investment thing or whatever his job allegedly is probably a lie as well.
It's nice for the soap opera irony of the fact that Vivian evidently looks down on Hank because he's a convict, and then she's married one herself.
Yes, but it's also because he's lied to her and not told her that.
Yeah.
Tissue of lies.
Does this thing not come out? I know in the UK, well, when you get married, you have that whole disclosure of criminal offences and stuff like that as part of the whole, is there any reason why these people can't get married? Do you not have that sort of thing in America?
I've no idea. Also, I don't know if we would have seen each other's.
That's true. I do, well, for people who don't know, when you get married in the UK, whether or not you have a church wedding or a registry office, you still have to register beforehand, which I think is the case in many countries. But for the UK, it has to be, I think it's at least a month or 2 months before your wedding. And essentially, the two of you sit down and you're asked a lot of questions together, but then they separate you. Just because, it's like if there's anything that, any concerns you might have that you don't want him overhearing, therefore they will ask you honestly, are you being forced into this in any way? That sort of thing, when you're in a room and your partner is not hearing this. But as part of that whole disclosure, there is things like criminal records, previous marriages, that sort of thing that you have to disclose. So I just don't know if it'd be the same in America, but you would have thought this would be the kind of thing that would have come up previously.
You would, but then you still, I don't know if it just happened, but I think in the 90s you suddenly could just have the concept of the Vegas wedding. Because at least its prevalence in sitcoms means that you can apparently just choose to get married on the spur of the moment.
I'm not sure you even can in America, because again, this is something I researched years ago. But I think that wherever you go, you have to give notice a limited time before. And it might only be days, because I think in Vegas it is a relatively short period. But it's not the shotgun wedding like you see in movies, or at least it isn't anymore. I know, I looked it up. In New York, it was something like 3 days before.
Yeah.
You had to give notice and then come back and do the ceremony 3 days later.
We don't get much Donna and James, which I don't think I mind too much. It's really bad we've just lost all faith in in some of our leads here.
Yeah.
But yeah, they are potentially one of the linchpins that's going to just unravel Leyland's whole story shortly.
Or at the very same time, this could be the thing that destroys them, I feel. Because I was trying to put myself in their position, and the fact that when Leyland said she was expecting you last night, that then you're going to internalise the fact of she was expecting us, we weren't there, and that's when she got murdered.
It's true. Then again, we don't know especially if she ever did arrange a time to even see them off or anything. So it was very vague, we're going to see her off today.
Yeah.
Because they were at the Roadhouse the previous night. And so I suppose that's one thing the episode probably should have picked up and didn't, is whatever Donna and Bobby experienced that night.
That sort of psychic wave.
Yeah, there's no follow-up on, so what did happen to you last night? What did you feel? And has it passed now?
Yeah.
And Cooper is very blasé with the Giant's warning, because you'd think it is happening again would cause a little bit more of a sort of concern about what does that even mean.
It's oddly not mentioned at all.
Yeah. Well, there's not had mentioned because Truman says he's put up with all your talk of giants and dwarves. So it's at least alluded to, but not really gone into any specifics.
It's not necessarily that Giant's warning, though, because Cooper has raved about the Giant before.
He has. It's amazing that Truman has allowed him to get this far in, really. Bobby and Shelley are... I think Bobby has... The plan to blackmail Ben would theoretically be workable. Just not at this instance. He's in a really bad position to stop blackmailing.
At the same time, I think Bobby is a bit of a dimwit, and Ben is very, very clever.
Yeah, I don't think it'll work.
It'll never work in a million years. Bobby will think he's got the upper hand. He absolutely will not.
No, but you can see where his thought process here is. It sounds like it should work, but no, it won't.
I think it's a very childish way, and we know that Bobby is just a teenager as well. He's still in high school. That this would be the simplicity of the teenager thinking, yeah, I can pull one over on the adult, not realising kind of how connected and dangerous Ben Horne is.
Yeah, I think it's... I don't know if we... No, I think Bobby was following Hank, so at least he knows that Hank would be an enforcer, and he knows that Hank shot Leo. So you'd think that would be a concern?
I also am continuing to feel a bit sorry for poor dim-witted Shelley at this stage. It's when Bobby starts talking about the money he's going to, theoretically, get from Ben, and he says she can get anything and she wants a full-time nanny for Leo, but then he just kind of jokes that off.
Yeah.
It's like, no, she needs help, Bobby.
Yes. I don't know if you want to do a sweeping assumption of Shelley as a 90s sort of soap actress, a soap character, but it's like she has two modes, which is terror and horny, and she's kind of got jammed onto horny a bit in this episode.
Yeah.
and that seems to be overriding any kind of sense.
I think in a deeper dive, in a more fair dive of Sherry, she is essentially a battered woman.
Yes.
Sherry has never had a good relationship. She left school early to have a horrendously abusive relationship with Leo, and now she's in that kind of mindset where she thinks this is what a relationship is. So Bobby is not as physically abusive, but he is still entirely wrong for her, and he is not a good choice.
Yes.
But she's seeing him as the lesser of two evils and can't see the negatives about Bobby now.
Yeah. And who knows if she ever will.
Which is why I think it's easy to brush off Shelley as just being an utter moron. But at the same time, you have to desperately feel sorry for her, because it's entirely not her fault.
No. The system failed her, as it has done so many people in the world.
But also the fact that those around her, and I know it's the whole thing where the person in the relationship has to make the decision to leave, but she had so many people that she could have gone to who would have protected her, who would have helped her, like Norma, like Big Ed.
Yep.
And just everyone has failed Shelley.
Yeah. And she seems, well, she's at least putting up with the situation at the moment.
Yeah. Cooper's right. She should have just thrown him under the bus.
Yes, but that was true anyway.
Mm.
Even before he was in a coma. Audrey, we get to see Audrey briefly. It's kind of nice.
Yeah.
I think we're still, we don't know what to do with Audrey. And I'll admit, I got the whole extended One-Eye Jack thing wrong, because Audrey clearly still has feelings for Coop.
Yeah.
Given she's because the synopsis didn't make it clear, but it's pretty clear in the episode that she's trying to make out she's still a virgin, or at least she didn't sleep with anyone at One-Eye Jack's.
Yeah.
And Cooper keeps trying to say this doesn't matter, but that relationship is still, it's not dead. I'm still kind of bemused as to why it hasn't actually died off.
The way she comes into his room and drapes herself over his bed as well when she's having this conversation.
Audrey's just so weirdly complicated in so many ways, but it's still, she's only implicated Ben Horn. It feels like she's only implicated Ben Horn, or partly it's revenge because of One-Eye Jack and the whole she was the new girl and he almost went too far with her.
Yeah.
Then it's the fact he owns the operation and then took so long to rescue her. But then also a factor of it has to be, this will help Agent Cooper in his investigation. That might help my situation with him.
Yeah, it could be. I didn't read it that way, but...
No, I don't think that's why she did it, but I think that's something in the back of her head, given how she behaves in this episode, that might have been part of why she says it to him.
Yeah.
I think it's more revenge is a much better emotion for her to be going through. But yeah, it's still not over between the two of them, which is incredible given that they've been trying to shoot it dead for so long now.
It's Cooper getting distracted by the admittedly very important phone call while she was in the middle of disclosing stuff as well. Cooper just seems to get distracted the second he's about to discover anything in this episode, much like Maddie's body in the boot of the car.
Yes. At least whatever Audrey was going to tell him, though, wasn't instrumental in the case, though. That was very much her personal relationship, whereas the discovery of Maddie's body is important to the case.
Yeah.
Have we missed anyone?
Just Andy, I think.
Oh.
I like.
We need to cover Andy.
I rather like Lucy's sister, the even worse version of Lucy, essentially.
Yeah, and I think it's odd that Lucy seems to have softened on Andy quite dramatically.
Yeah, I do like the telling silence when Andy kind of decides he must be the father, and Lucy just not responding to this.
Lucy, well, Andy, come on.
You know, there's still a chance it's Dick, right, Andy?
You also know that that baby she's holding cannot possibly be yours.
Oh, you mean that one?
I mean that one as well.
When she turns around and she's got the biggest baby in the world in her arms and he thinks it's hers, yeah.
No, Andy. No.
But I like it. We've noted before, Lucy is wonderful and utterly lovable and is a very literal person who just kind of, it goes straight from brain to mouth.
Yeah.
When she's talking. But her sister is like the bizarro version of her, where it's even worse. And it's literally even if it's offensive, questionable thought, goes straight from brain to mouth.
Yep, there's no filter.
Yeah. Like when she meets Hawk and immediately asks if he hates white men.
I thought Hawk had probably the best retort to that ever.
Yeah.
Many of my best friends are white people.
Yeah.
That's quite cunning, Hawk. I like it. More of that, please.
But I don't know if we see any more of Lucy's sister, but I quite enjoyed her.
Yeah.
She was good comic relief for the episode.
Yeah, I've no idea if she does again.
Gwen, I think her name actually is.
I suppose the actual problem with the Hawk joke is a good joke from Hawk. I think the problem is, where are the rest of the Native Americans that you're friends with then, Hawk? Because Twin Peaks is exclusively white.
That's true. There isn't any other person of colour, is there?
Well, there was Josie, now she's gone.
Well, Josie's not there. Yeah, that's kind of what I meant. Josie's left.
We had Josie, now was it.
Yeah.
Everyone else is a typical white American.
I suppose, in a way, it makes sense. It's a very rural, kind of very small community in America.
It's true. But I mean, it's the presence of Hawk would kind of imply at least there's a reservation somewhere nearby.
Yeah. No, that is true. They never mention that there is, though.
No, I don't think it factored into anyone's thinking at all. I think it's one of the weird ones where you say it's like the dancing sequence. It does feel like the episode had to be padded out to actually get to the right runtime.
It doesn't have as many characters as it normally does in there as well, I don't think.
No, and I think there's a lot of Leland dancing around and just being weird for extended periods of time, which also fill up just time.
Singing that one song from Oklahoma over and over again.
Well, he's moved on at least.
Yeah, we've moved on to show tunes now.
I did kind of like there's the almost inaudible mention from Sarah that they're going to a Glenn Miller performance or something later, and it's like that. Well, yeah, he does seem to like Glenn Miller.
Does he ever use Glenn Miller?
I was in that Pennsylvania 65,000.
Yes, that is. Did he do Pennsylvania?
He did do Pennsylvania. That was season 1.
Oh, okay. Then, yeah, he's used at least one of the Glenn Miller songs.
Next episode is Arbitrary Law.
Okay.
We're going back to the Roadhouse for things. If you'd like to get hold of us, our email address is thingsgetstrange42@gmail.com.
Also, if you're not sick of my voice right now, I do have a stream on Twitch TV under the name AdverseCamber42, which is live Mondays and Wednesdays at 8pm GMT and Saturdays at 5pm GMT. I'm currently playing Like a Dragon Infinite Wealth and Cult of the Lamb, both on PlayStation 5, and Danganronpa Another Episode Ultra Despair Girls on Steam.
Our theme music is a Vision by Kevin MacLeod. You can find it on Computech.com, licensed under Creative Commons by Attribution 3.0. Thank you all for listening, and until next time, please remember, sperms, that is all men think about.